Okay, so I'm going to be doing a presentation on Phoebe Novakovic and Nicholas McLaughlin and how their managing style relates to situational leadership. So Nicholas McLaughlin is 30 years old and he's currently the LPC facilities coordinator. Um, but he's going to be talking about his job in the past at Scripps College. He was the facilities coordinator there. He oversaw fitness instructors, lifeguards, and he planned and coordinated events. And then Phoebe Novakovic is the CEO of General Dynamics. She's been the CEO for over 10 years. Um, yeah. And situational leadership, specifically the style that I'm going to be talking about, um, is the style where it may be justified to claim that there's a bit of micromanaging going on because it's more high task oriented and low relationship oriented, which can be seen as a weakness. Yeah. So Phoebe and Nick's situational leadership styles, it's basically Nick's obligation to abide by the budget that the school gives him to plan events and facilitate and coordinate all of the different events. And he's also in charge of the employees there. Um, and then it's also Phoebe's obligation to use the capital budget that has been given to her efficiently and be able to steward those resources without having too much cost overrun, which can happen a lot in the aerospace industry. So Nick was explaining that his greatest career achievement was being able to certify all of his employees through himself, which did require himself to get a CPR certification first. And then he got to certify all of his employees while being on the clock. Um, and then also he was talking about how he achieved being able to find out other ways for students who aren't as active in the gym to release their stress. So he created like a wellness and meditation room, which I thought was very innovative. And he definitely used thinking outside the box to achieve that. And then Phoebe, as of the year after COVID, uh, the supply and demand and the economy went down, but she was actually able to steward the resources that have been given to her from the capital budget and then make $1 billion in profit off her company, which no other aerodynamic business was able to do that within the year. So I thought that was a pretty cool achievement. So I think I learned how you are successful in a business is you really need to steward your resources because even this doesn't even it relates to all businesses. Like even when you're just starting a business, you don't have this endless amount of money to go off of. Like you're gonna have a loan and you need to think outside the box and you need to be able to steward those resources. Um yeah. So and I think being able to always ask questions and being passionate about what you're doing. So you're always wanting to ask questions and always wanting to learn more. So Nick was explaining that his biggest challenge was he was planning an event which for mental health and to help students with their mental health, which is already thinking ahead and thinking for students who aren't as active. And so he set up the suicide prevention fair months in advance. He had planned it and he planned to get psychologists out there, different people from different departments, just a lot of different vendors. And then the day that the fair came, there was a storm. And so he was talking about how he had to adapt. He had to figure out how to buy tents. He bought easy up tents for the vendors, and then he relocated other vendors to places where there was overhead so they wouldn't get rained on. And then he said that there ended up to be over 500 people participate in it. So it ended up being a success still. And then just a little bit about Phoebe's biggest challenge. She was talking about how the general dynamic and the defense systems, their budget went down from Biden, and so being able how to achieve the learning curve and figuring out all the complexities of the gadgets in the aerospace, um, being able how to figure that out faster so that they can create profit still, and be able to just find the latest technology. Mm, So what I saw from similarities between them is they handle challenges in a very clear-cut manner. There wasn't really room for any kind of discussion or what other employees thought. They definitely did handle it in more of a managerial role, like taking charge, like this is what we're gonna do. But I think that both of them showed the ability to make good decisions and thoughtful ones and be able to think fast on their toes, because there's constantly changes in like the economy, demand, variables you can't control, and then also being able to have foresight and see ahead and see and think, oh, like maybe this circumstance could happen. How do we fix that before it comes? So the power basis is each leader was able to both use foresight, and for example, like Phoebe overseeing economic changes, and then Nick foreseeing conflict arising at pop-up events, and then being able to plan and then control. So Nick has shown that he's adaptable to circumstances and change, ability to foresee, ability to problem solve in a timely manner. He did explain that it's very important to him is timeliness, um, and being punctual is very important to a successful business. And then a weakness could be that there's definitely an overemphasis on task, which can which can be seen as a weakness because it's not as community oriented. You don't necessarily have a relationship with your boss that you can go to them and be like, "Hey, there's a problem." You might be scared because they're um, very, I'm trying to think for the word for it, but they just know how to like fix it and how to make orders. So it can be kind of intimidating coming to them with an issue. And then Phoebe has also shown she's quick at problem solving. She has the ability to adapt. And then also, what she mentioned, and also what Nick mentioned, is they're very curious and open to new ideas and always trying to think of how to improve their business because they have that passion for their business. And then also, as shown before, she did show that there was kind of an overemphasis on task, which can also be seen as a weakness. And then General Dynamics' mission is to use their capital resource and steward it well, while making financial success. So I think Phoebe displayed that she can do this well by the $1 billion in profit that the aerospace company made last year through the economic down spiral. Um, and then successful behaviors that a leader should have is foresight and adaptability and being able to navigate change and be resilient in an ever-changing business environment. Um, and then situational leadership can be very specific, which can, well, this style of situational leadership, which can lead to some micromanagement. Um, and then having communication is also very important. Um, and then being persistent, being able to navigate and persist through hard obstacles such as budget changes and overcoming complexities of gadgets and a business. So I think as reflection, um, I think it was hard to in the interview to connect the dots between the characteristics of leadership because I didn't know like what emotions the leader was feeling in the exact moment they were facing hardship. Um, so I didn't know what they were feeling in the moment. I think how I like overcame that though is I asked questions like, how are you feeling in the moment? What were um what were your employees' feelings and how did you react to their feelings and how did you make changes based on that? I definitely saw a lot of similarities between the way that these two managers handled conflict. Um, and I think I learned that it's all about having skills like innovative thinking and adaptation because your employees are looking up to you. You have to have quick reaction time. You have to know how to lead and how to adapt to change because your employees are looking up to you. You're a leader. And then yeah, that's my presentation.